our friends at Drepung?
Yeah, should somebody demo in us.
Okay. All right, good. Well, welcome to day 2. The first thing I'd like to do is to hear about your on-site activity. And if you could tell me a little bit about what each table worked on.
Tene nimanya tele patrish teles ta tambo ngatsu karching sena ne chetso tanda ane shopa chegu chigdbi orwa chegu drbi kaps ane rokhare remone karendo chichi mete moto chino chis. Do you want them randomly?
Yes, just first table to volunteer, please.
Hello.
Yes.
누가 당보는 거 주시나?
That's all.
누가 당보? 드린 게랑 가서 지고 가르치면 더 주셔야 돼.
Shopa chigdbi orwa kare korchings.
First, we took a group photo and put it into our slide, and then put it our group names, and then we choose 5 topics what students should know. So our topic is first neurons and its structure, and then different parts of brain, sleep, dream, and melatonin. 4th is sleep and consciousness. And then 5th in action potential. 6th in memory.
Okay, very good.
Oh, that's all.
Okay, now are these in the Google Drive?
Again, this is my Google Drive na niore. Group 1E8 badu.
Yeah, this is in the Google Drive.
Oh, I am not seeing them. So I think I need to figure out.
It should be in your shared with me, like this one.
Yeah.
On the left side, shared with me, just go into that. And then yesterday we created a folder, like year 1 neuroscience sustainability.
Yes, I
should
see.
be there.
I see
Yeah,
now.
inside that there will be folders for each table, and you will find introductory slides as well as like the topics.
Okay, yes. So it appears that I put my file in the wrong area then, so no one was able to see the Google Sheets that I shared. Is that right?
No, we didn't. Like, yesterday I think you didn't share it. So
I shared it in the wrong place.
Okay, that makes sense. Like,
okay, sorry. Okay. So I didn't get to review them. All right. No problem. Sorry. Thank you for, which table was that? Which group was that?
Table number 1.
Table number 1.
Oh, we're going in order. Yes, good. Not chaotic. Okay, so table number 2.
Tene namshi tang lapa ni chinjewa tongshe malak. Tene da konzo korto tang dentun tse de da tsama korto tang dam pachirwa dento ndi dentun tse kashi zgiyochi.
Jillian, can you share that? If you see that, can you share that screen?
I can, as looking at it simultaneously. Let's see. Here we are.
I don't see that from my.
This one?
Yeah.
Is this the group that just presented?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Very good. Okay, so this looks good. So these are the topics that you believe students should be familiar with.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, very good. All right, let's go through all the groups.
Yeah. Table number 3.
Table number 3에 먼저 초미디 미 징이 미든도 아닌데 이때 마서 이게 텐지 소남체 아니 텐지 gelse tering budia tashi tamang ani sonam dandul pasang sherba lobsang kherap ani ngonzo shoge ge de jorja de ngai damera ani ngima khobe kanye sleeping disorder che and thigi cause and sleeping disorders ra anxiety che emotion and disturbance and negative emotion ani somebody cognitive and perceptions ani ngabody short time memory tikola ani doling che te
Oh, very good. So the lymphatic system is on here as one of the things you're interested in learning. Where was this introduced?
The Galaya motor resources, it's the lymphatic system. You're wrong. As the Tanzamala, Chura Tankomala. Tico, any Gala motor resources.
Dingoma also the Zabjong Kabdulaya, Tanda the lymphatic system de Golatis, Sonsa in a Rarimji dus in a Sherada, in a that the Shipsaj in a dushia, Maudusine, and the Changdugi to the Odishai, Shawi.
Yes, during one of our workshops, we were introduced briefly about the lymphatic system, but we don't have a detailed or deep understanding of this topic. So we just put this topic over here that we or you need to learn more about.
Very good. Very good. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's important. Okay, good. All right. And I think if I navigate back this way, I can get to the other table. So table 4. Oh, hippocampus group. I like it. Oh, there we go.
Hello.
Yes.
So our group name is, as you shown before, is Hippocampus Group. And our group leader is Gensri Tumala, science teacher from Goma Monastery. And so that's all. So we have 6 members here.
Yes.
And then the next slide. So these topics we discussed in this morning, you know, we should have teach those topic in the monastery, because all of this is very like close to our psychology. So we discussed a little bit what is related with the concept or fact or skill. So we all agreed all of these are concept. Because you know all have argument.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So these are all very big picture and very important. And you will see that many of them are actually part of the 6-year curriculum that we have for the ETSI. So for instance, year 4 that the nuns are learning right now is based on emotion. So that is something we also agree is an important topic in neuroscience.
The Mitsitanda Dusta by Bananga Chesu de Trisha Jogi, Yoshi de Danga, so Emery multiple serially ram glutu ke ko lecture gi chango na ten de to yo pares tatina picha shana tampo senyo se ti chacha pena tanda ani lurum shiba gi tanda chele sunzule sto de wa de kapsa ne ko tsu gi ju de samnyang go res.
Good. And table 5.
Hello, nganzo ruga ngabadi.
Mhm.
Ani nganzo ruga mingla ne piju member ruga sige dinan soba somin animi di.
Naso.
Ani ta ngode shubaina ani ge an dorje sangbo an ge lodu sangbo an ge kirupishi ge tanjin wangdan ge lobsa thamjos ani ge tenzin gile ani ngal duten bai.
Naso.
Okay.
Ani ta ngazui ta jushi da boina ta gomba na la ni lobse gache khali khali lab go me ti tesing ta nga ra bu chi an thangbo di ani thu yes an thangbo di wang cha phenje parge an dandi chi chi chikche ani ba semyo da lebe parge dewa ani sumba di wang je nyamshi da ani dewa an chuchi gi ani chuchi bijit che da chikche tablam dan ani nga shiba di leju nyuba nga pa di ngizi wang cha ane chukpa di semyo dang narol ki tangzin chi dang di chi. Ani da nga zo di da changmang chi ro ane concept chi ani da wangzi nyamshi dang driwi ani tuji bishi dang dang chi ra odi ani di skill lang sha yu.
The firstly he introduced the members of his groups and then he just one by one he set out the topics that they are going to do, and just one by one there are in total of 6 topics. Yeah, 5 of them are just concept and the one is about skill. They will use the skill to understand the mechanism, tools to use for neuroscience research.
Very good. So part of what I want when we're sharing with everyone is for you to see places where you have similarities and differences. And then we'll spend a little bit of time talking about what the different priorities are for the different groups.
Mutu chiang stambal che tsu tona che ro chi tona gangile tona che ro chi sena dinsin re ge de shi jang stambal ya ni charang ge dinsin tong da sa kare do manda sa kare do oti ko le tona che ro chi ni je la nga su ge na chi dinsin su mo ne dra do ku ku ri chi sha ji te ge gang la ya ani zu kare chi zeng go do tene chi kar su chi pang de ga chi ro ke chin rang shin shi sha de tang pang dra chi ro oti gang la ya nga su je la ya sang tang chi ke chi yes.
Okay, good. Did we just do table 5? Yes, so the next one is table 6. Very good.
Also the table number 2 pa ani gomji descending ra rugade ani ngazo group member ta gen tin shombe ani galan chance ani sari gegen che ani gen gele gyatso che ani surja ani rizunu che ani tenzin targe che ani chamba ke sang ani konjo pelge ani sawang gyatso che ngazo ngare timi 2 years 아니 ngazoda da desen nga topi nga kare damyola na toma de ngazo gom damyore meditation kora damyore ani meditation di ngazo ani gom ji ani lepa ne ani shuken jitar tibye me di shedo ani shukchmoli do la di damyore ani nibe gan la ani semnyong ani sumpa de la ani lejun nupa da ani jiba atemba che ani ngapa de la an tongzor malak dukdam yoren.
Yes, he introduced the group members and he just mentioned about the 5 topics they choose the monastics may need to learn in the neuroscience classes.
Okay, these are all very good and very detailed. So again, as I'm showing, as you are all sharing, you'll see the different ways that different groups approach this. And this group has a lot of detail in theirs, but even just the way it's organized structurally, we've seen tables, we've seen lists, and I think it's important that you see these different strategies.
That under the knowledge to not check where they put in James Tambala, Korean Taban Canada Chick can do say they young to not check with the chamber stand the day by an young cola, Yako, Thompson Rere, Ola Yanko, Castle the Jeshes were announcing and saying Kajikashi to Stashawa. They don't want to check up to Chesu and the name by Nanga Suga, two Trisha or to Tamponas by short to Nado Jua Toyore, and the Kashi Bananga Suri, Muzuchi, and what to Jua Toyores.
Very good. These look really great.
Yeah, those.
Yes.
nganzo tanda ruka ibi de ane leba ruka reta ani nganzo gi chumi jina ngi tinzi ngaon che an kurang nganzo gi niti bache ani ngarang che ti jela ge tinzi le de ani gi chete ni ma da trabala kyap ani puba chere indu cha de gi ani nganzo gi di group bi todangan de tanda kar sorta ti khasho ti ye ko che chuse khasho todangan che indu cha cha yo
Naso.
아니 디저 기주 말들 아니 간소이 단다 랍세 라우라 카 단다 디 주시 도티 톰바 카르스나 리피 창고 디 지제 아니 원스 이도 last slide 나 지지로치다
Yes, sir.
아니 니빠데 원자 체리 나로라야 아니 체리 이탈한디 고시 간스 제고 예메 디 고르치제 아니 디젤라 옴봉아이 아니 샤와시 당디 간스 예메 디치제 아니 디젤라 원자 타주다 아니 고조 원자 타주 파르기 아니 데조지로 어디 지제 아니 디젤라 추체기 비쇼시네 아니 가서 레팔로 슈긴 간스 티기 예메세 되제 아니 타마데 원자 체리 나로라야 세뇨라야 당진 시시지로 어디 두스차디 가서
So the China brand group, they have 6 members. They took the picture and had the names written in the clockwise. Ningawang is the group leader, and they have 6 different topics. They think the monks want to learn. These are written here. Yeah.
It's very good. One thing I will point out here very quickly, this one, direct impact of using gadgets to our brain, could be a topic that comes under many of the big groups, right? So you could look at impacts of gadgets while you're studying brain anatomy, or while you're studying sensory systems, or the senses. So there's lots of different ways. If you think about something like this, is how using gadgets that might fall under some of the other topics.
That picture shabana dinner hopper napati by na aniko trichi picture tomala canela polish chicken do take the setting by na any carsugre ta dinane koya cooking touch joshadiro josha shenda go josha shenda ka go all I could Niton Chandos Picture Chapana, that the dim by Naya, Lebaki Chopato, and Shenda Dojuge, Oman Nagilits Tantendo, Shenda, all I do standard do statins, Tambalaya, any Tampo Samleton Tambalaya, ko Shenda, all at Nayo Pina, Shenda, all I ko Joshi Shenda go okay, Nancy Dinson at Nayo Panaya, the Redoga Samleton Chitampo to Chishana degrees.
Very good. Thank you.
Oh, to Chinape, I was a sauce.
And last but not least.
Oh, Tamatala Japan.
Azugi Rugaming la Emetalai. Ani Azugi member gaming Tango de Ani Doche, Lotusche, Newer Giant Pinzo, Ani Lopsang Wangel Losding, Lopsang Gurung, Sakya, Kasang Choyal, Gajang, Lopsang Dundup Gashar, Ani Tinzing, Changchuk, Ani Seracher Gaj.
I was just about to move back to this other slide, but I see that you updated it with a table. So this is good.
To have the progress on that, and that's it. That's songs, not two songs.
Ngazugi ani tropic mido nga truk da means the gumbegi look truk da na gumbegi tawala pento gi wanta gi jushi mido truk da means tangbo de ani lebegi natsa che niba de ani men da kumgi ani ngazo imugi nata la karigi pengi me de da de che ani sumba de wanta nyin che ani shiwa de ongbonga da lebe pargi jawa kanti chagadu ra didayin ani ngazo de ngawa de chamba da simnyong wargi jawa khari dudaya diche an thukba de an ngazo ge lebe ge chashi ta ani lebe ge chawa kanti chigadu de kordayin shuyin
That's all to China. Group number 8. The topics are written here. The first one, brain disease. The second one is effect of mindfulness, meditation, and medicine on depression. I want to do some research on that.
Yes, that's very good. So what I like about this is it's very specific to the interest of the group, but it also gives us an opportunity to think about research and curiosity.
That the good and the day the contagion nashi tilanga gasach kari to se baina ko kasbita chetak ba miximba kashla yang kusuge shimji chia ta te gala ya tuno cheshas.
Okay, very good. So I think if I stop share. Okay, so thank you all for doing that. Thank you for working on that. And I'm sorry that I wasn't able to access it before.
Sama te abuna jete ches and te ngola ya tanzenda ngola ya tajima chance te la gonda yes.
My intention was to look at them all together and see if we could identify 8 separate topics.
Handa danda ngi mugino su de garin sena nga su te la ta de tan te na ne nga su ge ju shi ma da wa je ju ngunjin chi ta o tin da chi cha sta yes.
Or fewer topics, because what I'd like to do by the end of today is to assign each group the topic that they will teach a lesson on.
Handa danda nga su ge karching sena ani ta dinchen re re ngo ne chi something triage che to ani ju shi kan re dam gi ge tapchi ti chi yes.
And I don't want us to have too much overlap in topics.
That de baro de la yang ko dinchen yu baro la ju shi chi ba de na ro yang ma yang wa gi tapchi tang yes.
Because my goal is when you are through with this week, we will have at least 8 different lessons that are ready to go.
Ta ri wa do ga system bala nga chu ge once sen gi something di trip gi cham su ani something mando je wa ju shi mando je gang la ya something gi chango yo pa chi la ya ani tinda do chi le ro chi yes.
So if you're doing different things, then you can use something that another table created, and you can use that back at your monastery.
Handa ge de mando che ba in ba na ani chi su ge ta chi gomba do de chi sun de trip up se yang chi to che jenda chi ta chi sha je de chorang ya pe che ta de ko yes.
So sometimes in medical school, they'll say the strategy to learn is to watch one, do one, then teach one.
지가 맹가 나네 고름 친추비 값을 고수 다른 지가래서나 아니 다른 지가서나 지라치 따스 와 watch스도 되게 지라에 지게 드스 되고 그래서 되게 지라야 아니 지 수수말 트야지 거라 지 트레스 그래서.
So what we're working on is you have already seen some of these lectures, and then you are going to be working on them, doing it, and then you will be able to teach one. And by the time you teach it, that will reinforce your own learning.
단단 가수 단단 벌당 가수 가르치고 그래서나 가수 통요래서 왔다 조신대던 레벨이 주체 만보지 통요래서 다때 또 따야 되와 아니 되게 제라야 단단 지금 뛰간을 레카 찍어요. 다 드립신 바로 왔다 지금 삼성이 저거디 찍어요. 어떻게 돼요? ne ta te la tani te thamate la ya ne lomsin de mar thi bu yo res lomsin de mar thi ba na khar chi gres na so su go jang sha ju de ani chi khat chi se da ani ko nang tin tin sa ba chi cha su sam lo nang ne chi ni hin do chi nye chu ro ko to de tin sa bol ha la peng res.
So one of the things I like to do in my classes, excuse me, is to encourage students to think about how they would teach the same thing that I just taught.
Danda ngarang zinda na ne lokri chula kandi chi ko kuma chi yesana danda ngarang gi tresha ju te ne jela lokri te gi ma mi shen la kanda strigi be se te ko la kapsi ta la kuma ta yus.
And I also give them the opportunity to write questions for assessment. So what kind of exam questions they can write.
Handa ya de mse pe che shi che che te ji tro gi twa de la do jia gi ko ka te te gi yus jela ki te lam sin te dan de gi ji tro sta ba na ne lokri gi che su ngo ne tro kan ro chin sa re se tro jia gi ko ka tro su su ngo ne da ji zuya chi ro ti ko ka te gi yus.
So this morning, well, today in the first session for you, I'm going to ask you to work in your groups again. This time, I'm going to ask you to look at the other things that your cohort members, so the other tables submitted, and to look and see if there's anything that they came up with that you think might be better, stronger. So it's a collaborative effort.
Handa danda nga chu tsotan de ka su kar chi gen se na nga chu din sen la yang che nyam ju gi le ka chi gen se te ka su kar chi che yin se na ne che rang ge ne che rang ta che rang mai ba ge din sin shen da chi ge ta de kan ro chi che sha te ge na ne ani jo sha chi ale de ya go du de nga rang ta chi go te le ani chi ya go chi du sa chi ro te ga la ye tre chi ta o te chi gen sta so de danda de ga me de ka rin se na ne cha ma ge nang khu ni chi nyam ju gi le ka chi chi ro o te du su na su ge
So in the next 20 minutes, I'm going to ask you at your table to go through and look at what's in that Google Drive. I will be doing the same thing, and we'll come up with a list of topics. If we don't get to 8, that's fine. If we just have maybe 5 or 6 topics that we see are really important, we'll go through and then we'll assign them to each group.
Kama nishi chika rang la nga su kar chi se na dinsen su su ko du chi sha ju dan Google Drive na jo shi chi dam yo ro o te gi na song de ta ne ya ko kar chi do sti na tu de chi chi swa ne te je la nga su len ten zam de te ne so jo shi je chi ra ga do ta gi je ma ra ba na nga tu chi ra ba je te ra nu je la ne nga su ge ne dinsen su la ya ne go sha ja pi jo shi re gang la ya lam chin chen go ta ri chi ge o te chi yin.
Once we have identified the topics, we will work on our learning goals or objectives, and then figure out what assessments we'll need to use to determine if our students have learned the objectives.
Handa danda ti je la ya nga su ge jo shi de to kan be je no ge je la ya ani nga su kar chin se na ani jo shi de tan de be ge ani ge kar yi ba wa lo jong shi jong ge ge kar yi ba ta ne mo de tan je yu me ta la ya ni lo tri la ya je ship sin na de ji tros kan das tan ge means de la ya ta ge yes.
So we'll take care of that before the tea break, and then after break I will show you an example of a topic and how I would approach it.
Dada nga su socha person ma te nga la ya nga su te ni ku cha ba je ni socha person ge je la ya ni nga ra in ba na something tin lo chi tan devi yo pa ba na te la nga rang ngu ni thap chi kan das tang sa de sa ti tang gi.
And then from there you will be able to start working on your own topics that you will be presenting at the end of the week, and I will make sure that I help you along the way in Monday, Tuesday, that sort of thing.
Da tegi je la che su kar chi ne che su den sin su ngo ne dam ta su la ra bi jo shi de gang la ya ni lon sen ta ri chi gu yo res wa ta ri che che ne thama de la ya ni ko zinda na ne ya tam she chi gu yo res nga in bai na ne tan da za da mi mar ti ga pa ro de la ya ni che su la te kan da drip gu yo me kan da chi gu yo me de la ya ani lam tin che da ro pa che de chi gi yes.
Okay, so right now in your groups, I'd like you to go into the Google Drive and look at all the tables and the list that they have made and see if you can come up with if there's anything you'd like to add and subtract. And I will also do the same, and then we'll see if our lists match.
지대 갈증에서는 제주 송대단 때나 때대단 때나나 제주가 양 조시들을 주지 잡아던 가는 잡아던 때는 다르지. Do you want them to like just do they need to pick just one topic from all, or each group need to?
Each group needs to look at all the other groups and see if there's something on somebody else's group that they think is stronger than theirs, if they want to change anything in their lists.
Okay, and the total of how many topics?
The total 5 or 6 total.
For each group, right?
Yes, because something like the action potential, I'll have 2 groups do because it's so important.
Okay. 근데 단다 되들 집에 값이 제주고 파종나 따로 제주라도 수수수문에 만취실라야 주시 나도 주시 두도도와 니 현달라 따대던 되게나네 아니 양 수수 되게나네 주시 유니트야다 되게 잡라 현다 되는 유니트야 오늘도 요바나 되는도 되들 지대대 아니 때 따로 제스와 아니 때 담아들라야 양실다 갈수래 주시대 다 딘선레레레 오니 주시 나도 듣는도 되는 요나 듣도스.
Okay. So if you start working in your groups in 20 minutes, we'll check back in. Or maybe we can do 15 minutes. Probably doesn't need to be too long. Okay. And then this will be boring for the recording, so we can pause. I can do that, I think. Are we ready?
Oh, yeah, that's
Yes. Okay. I looked at these. They're very, very good. And I think we have a good range of very big topics and small topics to think about.
단단히 따바인 상마 빼야고도 서로 그 조식이 접수마스나 빼야고도 되게 나네요. 그 조식 나네 조식 전부 가치도 되네. 접시 총총 가치나 도스.
So I think it's very clear from these lists that we think it's important for students to understand a neuronal structure. So what the neuron looks like and all the parts of it, that seems clear that that's one of the issues that we need everyone to know. It seems also that everyone needs to know about the different parts of the brain, so structure and function. I think also it will be important to make sure that students understand the scale from the brain all the way down to the neuron. Another theme that came up is the action potential. Sometimes we refer to that as communication within a neuron. And then the point at which the signal transmits from one neuron to another neuron, right at that point, is that chemical neurotransmission seems to be an important topic too. So those all seem to be basic, fundamental ideas that will help us to understand all the other bigger concepts. So many of those that we just talked about require students to memorize details. So you want your students to know these details without having to look them up. It is easier to talk about the brain and the parts if you know what those parts are and what they do generally, instead of having to go search for it every time.
근데 저딴 바나가 속에 지금 레피고 거기 기지션스 담발아야 아니 레피고 아니 차시 거 지라 가르가리 유메 당도 첼리 가르가리 지멘데 아니 가서 로니 하고 임바나 아니 그 지금 집에 갑스티스 답디고 또 야고 요리스 때문에 양 삼삼라야 대단 대시잡이 값을 차시대 거여나 세야 당 젤리 가리나 세야 주거 봐 세대 바인바나 가서 그 장비 값을 디스카운트 되게 디스탐발아야 되다 네 로라이 바이나 아니 야고 요리스.
So as you prepare to teach about those topics, your goal should be for your students to know it without having to look up any references.
다 조디가레스는 저 디값스금 게디가레스나 로피수고네 지금 데이터 장비 값을 아니 신달라야 제지기 이차들로 당 록대 당 던달라 따먹고이 가네 데이터 지금 하고 고지로 당 가지고 로니 하고 해줘와 어디다도 지수고 해드리스.
So the types of assessments that you will make, the types of ways that you will test student knowledge will look like they need to be able to recall all of these materials without checking any sources.
한다단다데 값을 제수고 있다가 주 제시주로 제시주 직도당 값을 제수 간다로 칠레시샤고 있으나 단다게 데이터 아니 친구리다 그 록대도당 데이터를 마타웨 건네 아니 삼는원네 레피나네 스고르다 샘니 친구리 치천지 피하게 넘버 칠라야 주야게 요바다 아니 데이터 아니 카르스고르다 나서 삼루 나네 지 정예 요바스고르다 치천지 피하게 뭐 데이터로 칠라야 내가 수기 직도 빌람니 시요메 데이터고 그랬어.
So I'd like to ask you in your groups, with just those topics that I've mentioned so far, how would you know if someone knows the parts of the brain?
나한테 단단한 수주시 강의 고르죠 디레티나네 아니 미치케와 당한 수게 레피기 차시 그 하고 요메데 맞고 간다서 하고 그랬어.
So I'd like each table or just a few tables to tell me, how could you find out if your students have learned the parts of the brain?
참하기 지나르게 없나 딘생 가시치게 되시잖아도 제쪽에 흡틀라야 레피기 차시 금진 TV 값을 고속에 레피기 차시 하고 유에메데 아니 저런 거 도야라고 하고야라 저런 거 하고야라야 아니 간다로 지지기 베스.
If no one volunteers, I'll pick on a table.
당만치니 말반반에 아니 딘치지 담게인스. 달로트즈가 레피게 차시카 하고 요메데 아니 저런 게 탈는 간다로 지라텐데 당다 천제기인스 거와. 더데.
다데 강야 고 레피게 차시수수게 리모트 제 아니 데려야 아니 롭트즈게 야수수 원지 제주야게 되게 아니 차시지 좋아 들렌지야도 아니 대지와네 비지 하고 있어요. 나 또 롭트 마지 강야.
So even if like beginning of the class or after, what we can do is we can show them a picture of the brain, showing parts of the brain, and let them recognize or just identify the parts of the brain.
Very good. So they can look at a picture of a brain, and then they can identify the different parts.
Yes.
Okay. So I have one question with two options. Do you think if you show a list that they can pick from, it's a different type of answer than if they have to supply the answer directly?
대기 달래빠기 차시기 민감자체 되던 구슬라야 아니 담기치가 지워와 대가가리도 담기체 지워와 대당 아니 지가레스는 수수수수문의 구도지 지워와 레빠 파티샤도 차신데 또 민지사의 수수수문의 지지가 지워와 어 대기 아니 차양 고 지바르웨 인샬라야 캐버리어스.
Very good. So I'd like each table or just a few tables to tell me, how could you know if someone knows the parts of the brain?
네.
So Okay, so if I show you a picture and I point to one section of the brain and I have a list of names and you pick the one that's correct, is that the same thing as if I show you a picture of the brain and ask you to tell me the name of the structure that I have highlighted with no list?
근데 지바로 왜서 지디 가서 무지 때는 무디기 나네 아니 레피기 차시질은 좀 쓰게 되지 아 레피기 차시디 가르레스 좋아데 트그로와 네 좋아데 담야라야 아니 레피기 차시기다 고 투지요 도상디 나네 담기 지에티 아니 아니 레피기 퍼스텐 tam 차시질은 좀 쓰게 되데 가르레스 야게네 투 맵을 거는 수수 팔라야 지 테 쿠트지야 지거와 안 소퉁문을 파 쿠트지야 지거와 데이터 지바로 왜스
I need each table to talk a little bit and then tell me if they're the same or different type of assessment.
한데 다 수수 등진 나네 트위터 지로 제스 트위터 지데 아니 단다게 좋아 나다 그 좋아 시그르 되는 바나 그 시그데 아니 틀랭게 담카테 테셔 시그 틀랭게 담카 마트와 수트고 모니 템바이 나네 그 샤고가 지워와 어떤 인샤게 아니 제십 인샤 시바 린두문두데 아니 트위터 지지 아니 제라야 두스 아니 모토지로 제스
Let's start with table 8.
Dinsin Japan good insa.
This one is easy. You can tell me now.
Twati lila is the length and the general degrees. So that's on sure. Japan is a number.
ngaza ji na tanda de ming de so ani chitsani de ya damga chi chuna de ya sara so level check
ya ma ti mar de gila twati tin se chipar wes gorwa
ale chipa mares
chipa member ina ko cheshi ge kontak kala to ko yoris korta remba chi yorwata
ale cheche de ze lo tong yesa skill la
they prefer providing the choices and it belongs to the category of knowing skills.
So they would like to provide the choices.
Yes, that's what he said, yes.
Okay, let's hear from other tables and then we'll talk about why your preference would be to provide the choices.
Yeah, that ne shenda ru ko shenda ge jison ro chidasa.
Table number 7.
먼저 루가기 디 칼로 제들라 디 민직되니 디 가르레 레저라 디 야용사레스 간이스나 디 아니 따직데 야고시엘라 편도시 그래서 망고에 대해서는 고랑고랑 고뇨태야지마도 시부시부 시엘라 편도서 말이야. 레바 제직이 민되네요라. 지거라.
They will think they will give just one single name and ask the student to identify on the picture. And what they think is if you get lots of names, it may confuse the student.
Okay, interesting. Yes. Hearing that. So let's see. Can you? Their strategy is to give this and then ask the students to label it with just one name.
다단대로 저 파치테다 되게 사체치라야 민트로치세 된다고 간다래다.
다가랑 레스다. 사체직대는 디기 민틴. 민 가르레라는 지겨라.
미 코토 지그레 지금 말해.
민 코테첸. 알레 사자라 민 코테 맞아세. 야고 민 코테첸이 디 사자 가와요레 레줘라. 니가 차기도 아들라. Ming de teni saja di labai chache de khawai laji daya. Ming ma de wache di labi chache di ming kharre laji ni chagna.
아니 차가도 와다 제수 관계 지겠네.
Also ming de ma de wache ro labi chache di kharre laji.
Ale okay. Yeah. We got two options over here, but we choose to just name a single part of a brain. We just show the picture and then let the student name the part.
Okay. Yes. All right. So I'll stop here because I want to show the contrast between the two different answers. So one group says they'll list all of the options and then you select from it. That's an easier strategy for the student because that requires the student to recognize what's there. So all they have to do is to know a little bit and then they'll be able to pick from the options.
담가된 차기다 담포체셔지고 담가된 차기 아니 거기다 니세마스마티 판도치미 백케버 컨도치미 뜻이자게스 게티로와 그 버지치테티가 올라야 담가테데 땅간게 증민진지세나 롭툴라야 팀바나 고다타 디시트레스 거기에 레파게 다지 차시데 무테스 시나도 거레스 무테스 지신바이바나 아니 민투샤요로 티나니 담야치요로 어디 라게요레스.
It requires a deeper knowledge to be able to produce the answer yourself. So if it's a blank line and I have to generate the answer myself, it requires a deeper knowledge than if I can just recognize it from a list.
단다 아니 게데처럼 게 다치 티치 텐데 디 카리레세 텔라 수수가 로니마 트고요 바인바나 딘 드비 값스 아니 수수가 가르사다 고토티스 팅사바 고고요 레스타 수수가 삼루나네 티 렌티 땡고요와 아템다 특히 다 담가츠 테샤 바인바나 담가 디나네 지 무치 신트나 그요레스.
So for example, if I get a phone number to call someone and I see the phone number and then I put the paper away that the phone number is written on, when I try to call that number, I will have problems trying to remember it if I didn't study it. However, if someone gave me a list of 5 different phone numbers, I probably could very easily pick out the one that I need.
Tapi shaba imbana roa tajingasu michigangala kaprang tante chengi ti kaprang tante gangla ya kaprach tangwa imbana keti ngala miti kaprang tante chute roa ani dus tanu ge chela roa ani phati sha de te ani lo ni kaprang ta kari imba se te tria la ya ani karse tanga su ngachot matang ba imbana chu ko khapo chigroas imbana yang ko kaprang tanga damka keti singa yo ba imbana.
So what I'm trying to show you is that I want you to think about what outcome you want your students to have before you start teaching. So do you want them to be able to know it and be able to generate the answer, or is it sufficient that they can recognize it from a list?
나한테 단데 딘드로 대시적으로 진짜 카렌 시스템 발함생 군주 말 구마츠고 ngala야 네 저런 게 롭투 촐라야 아니 지금 진디 마소나 듬디 마소나 때 간단로 지 유메텔라야 리워치 유메테 아니 땡케즈와 되게 참버레스 네 저런 게 바나 네지 롭투 ngune 검진디 트피 값을 고추문에 러닝 다 렌티 코토치 태게 뉴바단다 바트나로 지수긴베 야나 차시 주문 준 투바탐 지
So there's a little bit of a difference between presenting a topic just for people to see it and be able to recognize it, and have some familiarity with it, and giving them an opportunity to learn it deeply.
And
one of the ways to arrange the difference between those is to have your students make questions and to ask questions about the material. So for the second part of your list of things that neuroscience students should understand, the majority of the other things are big concepts.
Handa tanda nga zo ge joshi ge ta dinsin shemba de ta ta bai bai na te sama joshi ha chanja chenbu de rendos.
And for those, it's probably less important that they memorize the details, but have an understanding of how they work.
Handa tanda de ka joshi chenbu de ta ka sin bai na ko ge chi ga natin te ta ngchur yang ma tong bai bai na ya ko ta te ta ke chi ga ji yong ge
So for instance, on this slide, we're talking about the connection between emotion and brain. Or the mind, body, and internal regulation. For those bigger concepts, it's sufficient for students to be able to apply their background knowledge, and they should be able to make these connections. So the way you test that kind of material is with bigger conceptual presentations.
So
I'm going to show you now a short video. Well, it's about 3 minutes long. That is an assignment that I gave in my sleep class this semester. I had students work in groups. So I'll scroll very quickly here. So this is their final project for the semester, and all the students selected a topic that had application to sleep. So at the beginning of the semester, we started with very detailed information, and their tests included things that allowed me to see if they knew the content. Could they recall it? Could they recognize it? And those details we took care of early in the semester. So at the end of the semester, they all could produce different topics. You'll see there's some overlap if you read English between what you are asking about and what the students are presenting. So the one I will show you is actually produced by half of the cohort of Tenzin Gyatso scholars who are at Emory this year. So there are two groups, and both groups gave presentations. Here's another one. I can share this one in the Google Drive so you can watch it later, but I'm going to show the other one in class. Okay. So is that okay if I share this right now? It's in English. So if you need some translation for parts, then Dawa, you can help us.
Sure.
We hear that a lot. We also see.
Oh, I would like it to be in a bigger screen. Are you still seeing my screen?
Yes.
And it's in full screen?
Yeah.
Okay.
Lots of long-term expert meditators sleeping only for 3 to 4 hours every night. Can meditation treat insomnia? Do we need less sleep when we meditate? Let's find out together.
Insomnia is very common sleep disorder in today's world. Its symptoms such as stress, depression, anxiousness, anger, worry, etc. Those make us difficult to fall asleep. Can meditation treat insomnia? For example, in a 2015 study published by JAMA Internal Medicine Trusted Sources, researchers analyze how mindfulness meditation is effective for adults with sleep issue after 6 weeks of meditation or sleep hygiene education. There was fewer insomnia symptoms and less daytime wages.
Meditation can calm down the nervous system in preparation for sleep, slow the heart rate and breathing, and lower the level of cortisol, the stress hormone, improve the low wave sleep and REM sleep, as well as nighttime awakening, increase melatonin and serotonin, decrease blood pressure, activate a part of the brain that controls sleep, the long-term of relaxation response, reduce stress-related inflammation and oxidative stress, and improve insulin resistance. As a result, meditation can promote sleep and reduce insomnia symptoms. Thank you very much.
Hello everyone, here I'm going to tell more on whether we need less or more sleep when we meditate. According to Buddhist texts, most proficient meditators sleep 4 or less than 4 sleeps per night. It takes a lot of practice. Initial meditators sleeps more than usual in the first few weeks, but later they adjust. This graph shows difference between the meditators and non-meditators on average sleep duration. Thank you.
7 long-term meditators were tested using EEG, echocardiography, psychomotor vigilance tests, and multiple sleep latency tests. They found shorter sleep time on meditators and no evidence of sleepiness and sleep debt. In conclusion, we found from the above studies that meditation can help reduce insomnia, and multiple time spent on meditation is associated with significant decrease in total sleep time. However, whether meditation can pay off sleep debt is still an interesting topic for further research.
Very nice.
Hello. Meditation.
Okay, let me go back here.
Tamakosa.
Yes, any questions?
Tanda detail data ko tabdi chi sheba imbana tampo te la ya ngasu ge gom java imbana ani gon java te la tende te ngasu ani ya choro konda ani makha choro o ti ge ani chi ne ta te nyong ro ya ta ani chi ge ni ya ani makha ge chi ge ta ti ge kangi te chi nyong ta do se do wa te ya ko su shimji ke te chi shimji ke ti so mi chi mu to chi de tan de shi ja do wa te je la ya Nibati Kusubi, any gum job by na, any Asani Tonton Kubaina, any degree says your what did the what and the take up sim bana, and you gum chimba, the gum jiram pujani get in the bana, and then you quite go Tanimachila Halam, the Shigi Yanchila Kuba in Banaya, to do that and the Dela Yankosuyan Jikiston which killed it. Tatinala, gum jani, and gomajani, parola ya, and you quilla ya. So much so any cookie any capital tank what did mountain toto or what did it?
What is happening now? Did you translate everything?
Oh, just main topic, main point.
Good, very good. I want the students, if they were able to understand what, tell me things that you noticed in that video.
Tanda chesu drachi is tanda ane lonyen titan becomes chesu ten on a courage to non chansons. I saw Geshit okay.
This also okay in the videos.
Hello.
My question. Oh, somebody has. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I can say a few words. I think by doing or the engaging meditation, actually, it reduces the stress hormones, cortisol, and also improves the sleep quality, I think. That is the main point of the video.
Yes, that is correct. But also, I wanted you watching that video as a teacher, not as a student. So what you just described is what you could learn from the video. But I'm asking you as a teacher, assessing that video as an assignment, what do you see?
Da danda de gisla gi songwa de tagares danda de kapsin nu gisla songwa de bana na nga chu ge da samla samnge tya express ro ta samnan samge samnan de tya gi ani danda koros chigor de chinyo ta chi ani karsa nga chu ge ni gi pika de chala tang gre sa chigor de thong song sta danda de kapsin bana da ta ngarang ma tya gi kena ngon tya ngarang ma tya gi tro de kar insist ta bala ya danda de kar se na chi so chera ta chi ge chitang gi janye chi ko ga ne 네 논년대 간에 가르치게 아니 마셔치 가르쳐 societies 단 나랑기 문이 트야디 가르인스나 아니 게티처럼 기겐치인 바이나 기겐치게 소프트티게 조샤주게 논년대라 때문에 단타처럼 게 자체로 직대고 왔다 제시로 지지고 여와 대지 스탄발아야 기겐치 무간에 따바인바나 나 논년대 논에 가르치 통송스
Table number 8.
As I watched the video, I observed some information that all the students have collaborated very well, and because they have checked and because they have participated very well, and they have also think they have very give effort to make these videos.
Yes, very good. Thank you.
Oh, data we capture Thomas Zushi abu chesha tem sebe kutsu shu ya bu shas.
Okay. A question for you. How did they tell you about the information? So Sangpo said that the stress and cortisol were related, but where are they getting this information from?
Anda danda de kapse kutsu ge nitsu khachi moto chi yorwa gen example la mbana nga su ge tas hanan data koroso ni ge paru ge jwa zu desi jaso ate na shinge de ton team jebe ge nitsu ton chapchen data me kutsu la gaone radus.
From a research paper.
Very good. Exactly. That's what I want you to see. They are presenting research papers. So one thing I think that's missing from our list of skills or concepts in neuroscience is how to assess the research. So I think neuroscience students need to know where we get our information.
아니 덤칭 조시 데이터라다 바이나 나츠 원자 차리 빠진 바이나 원자 차리 장니기 높이진 바이나 니 고초게 지 차튼데 거 라멘다 아니 지가서 그래다 심지게 따지 듣던 지거와데 라멘데 다다 나츠게 통고 지주디나라야 민두스틴 스타말라야 네체 원자 차리 지 장니 바이나 원자 차리 던 데베게 심지게 좀이다 되게 네스데 거 라멘 지거와 어떻게 참비차게 그랬어.
So do the students here need to memorize every detail about what meditators and non-meditators do and what these numbers are? No, they don't need to memorize that, but they need to know where to find the information and how to analyze it.
Hada danda de kapse bana lotu concentration janye khutsu ge danda de kapse gom jani da gom jani ge paro la ye so de ta ani chapter kare imen de ge tanga kare imen de ge sondong kare imen de sama ngakche tang go yo res na ngakche tang go yo ma res kare sing go yo res na data ke ne chu de ta chachen de ko la ra go yo me ge ne ta chu wa de sing go yo res.
Okay, so here in this one slide, it says, according to Buddhist text, and then the next says, University of Kentucky studied sleep.
And then as we dig it, demo the gata by Bana, Tampo in Bana, Natsu, which in Ambig, Picha, Shisha Bana, the Limit Chishas, Shenda Timbana, and the Kentucky, a tool of the Chamu, Shimji, the Shisha Bana, then do induce to sell lapshas.
So in this, they're showing us where they're getting their information from and how they're putting it together.
That they come saying Bano Kutsum Atsula Karimutu Chishasana, and Kutsulaya, and Nitsu Karira, you met on Nitsuti Kawara, you met in Shanyam to Kanada, which Tengu you met in the Shijashas.
So this is very important that they're able to demonstrate that they know where to find the information.
This Tambala de Kapsa Kutsugish, Nitsu de Kawani, Ragu, you met the Tuntiachua, or the Kapsim Bana. Ti Kawani Ragu Yume, Haku Bachorwa, Ti Martin Guyobate, a Kechambuchaguris.
I think it's very important in neuroscience because we are learning so much very quickly that students are able to go and find where the information could be.
That in Tambati Kechambuchaguris, the once a Sarin Bana Kuta, Yerje, Jokushudu, or what is Tambala, Lotusin Bana, Nititan Devi, and Nitsuti Kawa, Ragu Yume, Chihakuachurati Kechambuchaguris.
The other very successful thing in this video is that they use pictures that are relevant to the audience.
No team sit under the Kapsu Kusugi, and a pay upon I over the Kavedusena, Tandagin, Digana, Kusugi, any partida, and some sent on joy to partida, pay up with shas.
So you may see some images of people you recognize, but what they've done is they've made the topic related to the people who are watching it.
That under the Kapsibanal Hopper to Kuga Partanti time by now, Tanigi Melaya, and joy to Churat, and the Edicars and the Tabicaps and Dina and Mikachi Yanchitsugi, Mushiba de Layores.
So something like this is a really good way for me to know if the students have learned something and if they're able to apply it.
That data with him by now, Nala, Tagin gonna share by now, look to get name Kogi Joshati Shindum do, Joshati Pecho Tantkadum do, take Tag Chelaya, a Pentapusudus.
So if we look at the list of objectives that I have for you, let me open this slide very quickly. Oh, sorry. Pardon me. Okay. If I share my screen here. Sorry. Share screen. Okay. So one of the things I want you to be able to do is to figure out appropriate assessments so we can know if your students have learned.
That Chitula then the Langa Sugi, the Canada which is some years and around Jindi Canada which we may years and that Jeship in the Serzuton and it hope tricky and it could she jumped on Antongi Karsagure. That you go to the Canada which Yemen Telaya and it's change the Kutsun to that Dirigi needs it on Tembigi, Jeship in the door, Negarsagure Zuat, this is a yes.
So with this in mind, you're thinking about how can you assess if your students have learned what you intend.
That other dinner to chip and Bana Karaha Chris, natural and Gamina, gentle Pitsugishi, meditate Chris.
So what we're going to do when we get back from tea break is to figure out what learning objectives you have for your students for the particular topic that we will select.
That and I so person the chela carching in Senachi to Damsha Jugi, Joshi, Seti, Ganlaya, and Chirango to Solaya, and she's on Agia, and she's Jungum Yikari, meditate against.
Okay, I will take any questions now before we break.
That I got some person Matangalaya, and draw you by a draw down, which is